Hey everyone, today I found this new feature on the Sony Creators App that I haven't seen anyone talk about it yet. It might just be a small feature, but I've also been noticing the app stability overall is getting much better as time goes on for both Android and iOS devices. So I was about to make a video on iPhone 12 and 13 minis and how they compare doing wireless video using the Creators App. But as I was setting up a test, I saw there's a new option in the remote shooting part of the Creators App. It's for connecting a device directly to the camera over USB, which might seem simple enough, and many camera manufacturers have had wired device capability for many years now for file transfer, basic monitoring, and capture of images. But the Sony app's different because you can touch the screen to track and focus on an object. I made this video recently on how that could be used like a superpower when combined with a gimbal. So to connect it to an iPhone, you need to use a Lightning to USB adapter and a USB-A to USB-C cable to connect to the camera. I've not tested the iPhone 15 yet, but as I use a USB-C port, I can imagine it's very similar to Android devices, which is a simple USB-C to USB-C cable. I tried some different USB extenders and dongles and found that while some do work, your mileage may vary. The lag using the phone's wired connection was very minimal and quite similar to using the app wirelessly. I've got a full comparison coming later in the video. So what this does mean is you can still use your phone's Wi-Fi and Bluetooth for something else whilst using the Creators app. And as I alluded to earlier, I found the app is working much better on Android devices. Actually, that's why I ended up buying an iPhone in the first place. I was having quite a few issues with the Android version of the app, like display cutting out, frequent annoying notifications, and just not an overall smooth experience. I still need to fully try it out in the field and put it through its paces, but having a wired option means I won't lose connection in key moments while filming, which is very, very frustrating. So, how did the test go? The original plan was to try the phones wirelessly at different distances from the camera to see how that affects the lag. I tried it next to the camera, then 2, 4, and 8 meters away from the camera. The camera screen itself had a lot of lag in relative terms. This footage was shot at 240 frames a second and is being played back at 24 frames a second for a 10 times slower speed. I found on average it would take 20 frames, about 80 milliseconds, for what happens in front of the camera to show up on the camera screen. The camera I'm using, by the way, is a Sony A7 IV, which hasn't got the fastest readout, but it's my go-to for run and gun work. The wired and wireless connection up to about 4 meters away took about another 10 to 20 more frames to show up on a device screen. So about 30 to 40 frames, or about 160 milliseconds in total. It might sound like a lot, but that's about 0.16 of a second. Also, unsurprisingly, the lag got a lot worse around 8 meters away, adding another 10 to 20 frames, for a total of 60 frames of lag. That adds up to a quarter of a second and starts to get quite noticeable in use. For comparison, this HDMI monitor has a total lag of about 27 frames, 110 milliseconds. So the best case scenario using the app, the USB wired or wireless connection is about 0.01 to 0.05 seconds slower than a HDMI monitor. But I think the touch tracking focus features, its simplicity, and massively less weight is worth it though. It is so great to see parity across iPhone and Android devices for this incredible feature that I use a lot. As I've grown as a filmmaker using Sony cameras for almost a decade since the original A7S, I've been looking to make it easier and better to get more creative shots. Not that the shots I do now would have been possible back then, but it would have taken many more tries or a lot of luck to get the focus as tack sharp whilst also being completely dynamic. Moving through a scene whilst trying to focus a very narrow aperture while so many subjects are moving around, especially hard if you only have one take to get it right. Anyway, that's all for the video today. I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers!